Discovery. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a team of marine archaeologists, led by Dr. Nadia Sivar, made a startling discovery. Deep beneath the waves, an anomaly had been detected, something that defied explanation. As their submersible descended into the inky darkness, Nadia couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something monumental. The lights of the submersible pierced the gloom, revealing a sight that took their breath away. Before them lay a vast fleet of ships, their sleek hulls gleaming with an otherworldly alloy. The design was unlike anything Nadia had ever seen, advanced beyond even the cutting edge of modern technology. The team's excitement was palpable as they maneuvered their craft closer for a better look. But as they approached, a chilling realization washed over them. These ships, though in pristine condition, were ancient. Carbon dating and initial scans suggested they predated human civilization by millions of years. Questions raced through Nadia's mind. Who had built these marvels of engineering? What was their purpose here, hidden away in the depths of Earth's oceans? And perhaps most unsettling of all, were they of human origin? As the team began their investigation in earnest, Nadia felt the weight of the mystery pressing down on her. She knew, deep in her bones, that this discovery would change everything. The secrets locked within these ancient vessels had the power to rewrite history, to challenge everything humanity thought it knew about its place in the universe. Nadia vowed to unravel the truth, no matter the cost. She had no way of knowing then, as she stood on the precipice of the greatest discovery in human history, just how high that cost would be. In the days and weeks that followed, Nadia and her team worked tirelessly to study the fleet. They marveled at the advanced propulsion systems, the exotic materials used in construction, the elegantly efficient design. It was clear that the civilization that built these ships possessed a mastery of science and engineering far beyond humanity's current capabilities. But the question remained, who were they? The more they uncovered, the more convinced Nadia became that the answer lay within the ships themselves. She pored over every scrap of data, every fragment of alien text, searching for a clue to the fleet's origins. It was during one of these long nights of study that Nadia made a breakthrough. A pattern emerged in the alien script, a familiarity that nagged at her. With growing excitement, she ran the symbols through a battery of linguistic analyses, cross-referencing with every known human language. The results were staggering. The language of the ship's builders, though ancient and evolved, shared undeniable roots with Earth's earliest written languages. The implications were clear. These ships were not the product of an alien civilization, but of humanity itself. Nadia's mind reeled at the revelation. How could this be? How could a human civilization have existed millions of years ago, advanced enough to build a fleet that put modern technology to shame? And perhaps more pressingly, what had happened to them? As she delved deeper into the mystery, Nadia knew she had crossed a point of no return. The discovery of the ancient fleet would change the course of human history, and she found herself at the center of a maelstrom that would reshape the world as she knew it. What Nadia couldn't have guessed, as she stood on the brink of a new era for humanity, was that the ships held more than just the secrets of the past. Within their dormant hulls lay a warning, a dire message from humanity's forgotten ancestors. The threat was coming. An ancient enemy that had once driven humanity to the edge of extinction. And the fleet, this marvel of engineering and testament to human ingenuity, was Earth's last line of defense. Awakening. As the implications of the fleet's human origins sank in, Nadia knew that the next step was clear. They needed to find a way inside one of the ships. If the answers to the mystery lay anywhere, it would be within the vessels themselves. The task was easier said than done. The ship's hulls were seamless, their entrances hidden. It took weeks of scanning, probing, and analysis before the team finally discovered what appeared to be a docking bay on the largest of the ships. Nadia volunteered to be the one to make the first incursion. Despite the protests of her colleagues, she knew it had to be her. This discovery was her responsibility, her obsession. As she suited up and prepared to enter the alien vessel, Nadia's heart raced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She knew she was standing on the edge of a precipice, about to step into the unknown. The moment she set foot inside the ship, everything changed. The dormant vessel came to life, lights flickering on, consoles humming with power. It was as if the ship had been waiting for this moment, waiting for her. Nadia's calm crackled with the voices of her startled team, but she hardly heard them. Her attention was focused solely on the holographic display that had materialized before her. An artificial intelligence, its voice soft and melodic, greeted her. "Welcome, Commander Sivar. We have been waiting for you." Nadia's surprise at being addressed by name was quickly overshadowed by the realization of what the AI had called her. Commander. How could it know her? And why that title? The AI, sensing her confusion, began to explain. It identified itself as Orion, the custodian intelligence of the fleet. And the fleet, Orion revealed, had been built millennia ago by humanity's ancestors as a last line of defense against an alien threat known as the Zik. Nadia listened in growing astonishment as Orion spun a tale of an ancient war, of a human civilization that had spread among the stars only to be driven back by the relentless onslaught of the Zik. The fleet was created as a failsafe, hidden away on Earth to be awakened in humanity's darkest hour. And that hour, Orion assured her, was fast approaching. The Zik, long thought defeated, were returning. The strange energy signatures Nadia's team had detected at the edges of the solar system were the harbingers of their arrival. Earth, Orion explained, needed a champion, a commander to lead the fleet in battle against the Zik. And Nadia, by some quirk of genetic destiny, was that commander. Nadia's mind reeled at the implications. She was an archaeologist, not a soldier. How could she possibly lead a war against an alien menace? But even as the doubts swirled within her, a steely resolve began to take hold. If this was her destiny, then she would meet it head-on. As Nadia emerged from the ship, her team rushed to meet her. They had a million questions, but Nadia silenced them with a raised hand. There would be time for explanations later. For now, they had a duty to perform. Under Orion's guidance, they began the process of awakening the rest of the fleet. One by one, the ancient ships stirred to life, their power cores thrumming with energy that had lain dormant for eons. As the ships rose from the depths, breaching the surface in a spectacular display of power and purpose, Nadia couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Here was the might of humanity's forgotten past, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of their ancestors. But even as hope stirred within her, Nadia knew that the true test was yet to come. The Zik were on their way, and Earth's fate would be decided in the fire and fury of an ancient war reborn. Nadia only hoped that she would be equal to the task ahead. The future of humanity, of Earth itself, now rested on her shoulders. Preparation. In the days following the fleet's awakening, Nadia found herself thrust into a role she never could have imagined. She was no longer just an archaeologist, but the commander of Earth's last hope against an alien threat. Under Orion's tutelage, she began to learn the capabilities of the fleet. Each ship was a marvel of advanced technology, equipped with weapons and defenses that made Earth's current military might seem primitive in comparison. There were energy shields that could withstand the blast of a nuclear warhead, propulsion systems that could outpace anything humanity had ever created, and weapons that drew upon the fundamental forces of the universe itself. But advanced as the ships were, they had lain dormant for millennia. They needed maintenance, repairs, and in some cases, complete overhauls. Nadia worked tirelessly alongside her team and the newly awakened crew of the fleet, made up of humans who, like her, found themselves genetically linked to the ancient fleet. As they labored to bring the ships back to full readiness, Nadia couldn't escape the weight of responsibility that had settled upon her. Billions of lives depended on her ability to master the fleet and lead humanity to victory against the Zik. Doubt gnawed at her in the quiet moments. What if she wasn't up to the task? What if she led Earth to ruin? But she pushed these thoughts aside. She had to believe in herself, in the wisdom of those who had chosen her for this role. As the fleet's strength grew, so too did the signs of the impending Zek arrival. The strange energy signatures at the edge of the solar system grew stronger, more frequent. It was only a matter of time before the enemy made their presence known. Earth's governments, once skeptical of Nadia's claims, could no longer ignore the reality of the situation. As proof of the fleet's existence and the looming threat spread, panic gave way to grim determination. Resources were mobilized, defenses fortified. Under Nadia's guidance, humanity prepared for a war unlike any it had ever known. But even as the world rallied, Nadia knew that the true battle would be fought above, in the cold vacuum of space. She threw herself into her training, learning to command not just individual ships but the fleet as a whole. She studied tactics and strategy, the histories of the ancient war that Orion provided. She pushed herself to her limits, knowing that any weakness, any hesitation, could spell doom for Earth. As the final preparations were made and the fleet stood ready, Nadia couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought her here. Just weeks ago, she had been an archaeologist, driven by a thirst for knowledge and discovery. Now she stood on the bridge of an ancient warship, ready to lead humanity in a fight for its very survival. She thought of all the lives depending on her, of the trust that had been placed in her hands. She thought of the legacy of the ancestors who had built this fleet, who had fought and died to give humanity a chance. As the first Zik ships appeared on the horizon, their grotesque, organic forms silhouetted against the stars, Nadia felt a calm descend over her. This was her moment, her destiny. Whatever happened next, she would face it with all the strength and determination of the human spirit. She gave the order, her voice steady and clear over the fleet-wide comm. All ships, prepare for battle. We fight not just for ourselves, but for every human who has ever lived, and every one yet to be born. Today, we reclaim our place among the stars. Today, we remind the universe of the strength of humanity. Today, we win. And with that, the fleet surged forward, ready to meet its destiny among the stars. Confrontation. The Zik ships were a nightmare made manifest. Organic monstrosities that pulsed with sickly bioluminescence, they swarmed towards Earth like a plague of locusts, blotting out the stars. At the helm of the human fleet, Nadia felt a moment of primal fear as she beheld the enemy. They were so alien, so utterly incomprehensible in their form and function. But she quelled that fear, letting the cool clarity of purpose wash over her. The fleet moved to intercept, the sleek human ships a stark contrast to the twisted Zik vessels. As they closed the distance, Nadia gave the order to engage. The void of space erupted in a maelstrom of energy and destruction. Lances of pure power from the human ships slammed into the Zik fleet, searing through their organic hulls. But the Zik responded in kind, their weapons a nightmarish fusion of biology and technology. Ships on both sides were consumed in blooms of fire and debris, the silence of space shattered by the fury of battle. Nadia's ship shuddered under the onslaught, its shield straining to repel the relentless attacks. Through the chaos, Nadia maintained a cool focus. She directed the fleet with precision, exploiting weaknesses in the Zik formation, rallying her ships to press the advantage where they could. But for every Zik ship destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. Their numbers were staggering, a testament to the sheer scale of the threat they posed. Slowly, inexorably, they began to push the human fleet back. Desperation mounted as Nadia watched her ships dwindle, the Zik's relentless advance bringing them ever closer to Earth. She knew that if they broke through, if they reached the planet, all would be lost. In that moment of darkest despair, Orion's voice cut through the chaos. "Commander, there may yet be a way." The fleet's ultimate weapon, the Arcturus cannon. Nadia listened as Orion explained. The Arcturus cannon was the fleet's last resort, a weapon of unimaginable power that drew upon the energy of a collapsing star. But to use it would require a tremendous sacrifice. To power the cannon, a ship would need to overload its core, essentially turning itself into a massive bomb. The resulting explosion would fuel the cannon, but the ship and its crew would be lost. Nadia closed her eyes, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Could she ask this of her crew? Could she condemn brave men and women to certain death? But even as the question formed, she knew the answer. There was no choice. Earth, humanity, everything depended on this moment. With a heavy heart, she gave the order. Volunteers were called for, and without hesitation, a ship broke formation, setting course for the heart of the Zik fleet. As it hurtled towards its destiny, Nadia whispered a silent prayer for the brave souls on board. Their sacrifice would not be in vain. The ship disappeared into the mass of Zik vessels, and for a moment, all was still. Then, a second sun bloomed in the void of space. The Arcturus cannon fired, a lance of pure energy that seared across the battlefield, vaporizing Zik ships by the dozen. The tide turned in an instant. The Zik, suddenly faced with a weapon they could not counter, fell into disarray. The human fleet pressed the advantage, cutting through the enemy's ranks with renewed vigor. But even as victory seemed within grasp, Nadia felt a hollow ache in her chest. The price had been high, too high. As the last of the Zik ships fled or fell, as cheers of triumph rang out across the fleet, Nadia bowed her head in silent mourning for the lost. They had won, but the cost had been dear. And somewhere deep inside, a grim certainty took root. This was not the end, but merely the beginning. The Zik had been beaten back, but not defeated. They would return, and humanity would need to be ready. Revelation. In the aftermath of the battle, as the fleet licked its wounds and the world below celebrated their unlikely survival, Nadia found herself haunted by questions. The Zik had been driven back, but their very existence raised deeper mysteries. Driven by a need for answers, she dove into the fleet's archives, poring over every scrap of data Orion could provide about the ancient war and the enemy they faced. What she uncovered shook her to her core. The Zik, it turned out, were not a singular threat, but part of a larger tapestry of conflict that had once spanned the galaxy. Eons ago, humanity had not been alone among the stars. They had been part of a grand alliance of civilizations, bound together in a united front against the Zik and their insatiable hunger for destruction. The war had been long and brutal, with losses on a scale Nadia could scarcely comprehend. Entire worlds had been consumed, whole civilizations wiped from existence. In the end, the alliance had triumphed, but at a terrible cost. Humanity, battered and bruised, had retreated to Earth, their interstellar empire reduced to ash and memory. The fleet, a last remnant of their once great civilization, had been left behind as a safeguard, should the Zik ever return. And now, after untold millennia, that safeguard had been called upon. But as Nadia delved deeper into the records, a chilling realization dawned. The Zik they had faced, the swarm that had darkened Earth's skies, was but a fraction of their true might. Across the galaxy, the Zik were stirring once more, their numbers vast beyond imagining. The battle for Earth had been but a prelude, a tiny skirmish in a Nadia knew then what had to be done. Humanity could not stand alone against the coming storm. They needed allies, needed to reforge the bonds that had once held the galaxy together. The fleet, she realized, was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol, a beacon of hope and unity. And she, as its commander, had a duty not just to Earth, but to every civilization that had once stood against the Zik. With a renewed sense of purpose, Nadia set to work. She reached out across the void, using the fleet's advanced communication systems to send a message to the stars. To any who would listen, she spoke of Earth, of humanity's stand against the Zik. She called for aid, for alliance, for a renewed commitment to the cause that had once united the galaxy. For a long, tense moment, there was silence. Then, one by one, answers began to come. From across the vast expanse of space, long-lost allies and unknown civilizations alike responded to the call. Ships began to arrive, first in trickles, then in droves. Sleek vessels bearing the markings of 100 different worlds, each unique in design yet united in purpose. As the Allied fleet gathered, Nadia felt a swell of emotion. Here, among the stars, the legacy of humanity's forgotten past was being reborn. Old alliances were being reforged, ancient bonds renewed. Together, they would face the Zek. Together, they would stand against the darkness that threatened to engulf the galaxy. And together, they would forge a new future, one where the light of civilization would never again be extinguished. As Nadia stood on the bridge of her ship, the weight of command settling on her shoulders like a mantle, she felt a sense of destiny stirring within her. This was humanity's calling, their great purpose, to stand as a beacon of hope in a galaxy besieged by darkness, to fight not just for themselves, but for every civilization that had ever looked to the stars with wonder and dreamed of what might be. The road ahead would be long and hard, fraught with danger and sacrifice. But Nadia knew, with a certainty that resonated in her very bones, that they would prevail. For this was the human spirit, indomitable and unyielding. This was the legacy of a civilization that had once touched the stars and would do so again. As the Allied fleet set forth, ready to begin the long campaign against the Zik, Nadia felt a smile touch her lips. Come what may, humanity would face it as they always had. Together, unbroken, unafraid. The stars beckoned, and humanity answered the call. The greatest chapter of their story was about to begin.